Well, hello, AfterBuzzers and a million little things fans. We are back with Season 2, Episode 2, Grand Canon, a lot of mother pressures, emotions from the past that ultimately erupt in grand blasts. Let's get into it.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
I was like,
I felt like we were gonna go for a thriller action.
I know, like, where's that cannon blast drop right there? Well, welcome to
great.
A Million Little Things, Season 2, Episode 2 breakdown. What a show so far already. Yep. We are going to get straight into it, talking about all the mother pressures, all the high emotions that we're running through, delving into some bits that might be coming up from the past. We don't know what's going on. It's been a little bit mediocre until the very end. It was like a grand canon.
Yeah. Oh, so grand canon. I understand now.
Yeah.
I like what you did there.
Right. See? They're very smart about it, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at Delilah and Andrew and Maggie going through her motherly pressures as well. Regina. We've got to get into those and control issues between Eddie, Katherine, and Regina and Andrew. I mean,
it's all over the place.
It's all over the place. I'm your host, Yasmine Tanres, joined by my lovely co-host over here.
Guys. I'm Jessica. I'm back. Here I am.
Yes, another super
So
fan of
happy
A
to see
Million
you
Little
guys.
Things.
Very big fan.
What were your overall thoughts of this episode?
So it's funny because I feel like they were kind of dangling us along throughout most of the episode, and we're kind of just like sitting here waiting. Like we know something else is going to happen, but we didn't know what. And then that final scene came, and it hit us. Everything hit us all at once. Seeing Maggie's mom with the guy at the bar, and we're just sitting there. What was his name? Hunter?
Which, Eric?
Eric.
The guy at the bar?
Yes. Eric, there we go. There is a Hunter, but that's not him.
There is a Hunter, yes.
Seeing him sitting there at the bar with her mom, and I'm just like, wait, what's going on? We need to know more. And then PJ, and oh my God.
Yeah. I was with you on that. Like, we were both sitting there, and you turned over to me, and you were like, this is kind of mediocre. And I was like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on. But hey,
like, give us
not
more.
Every episode can toy with our emotions.
Yeah, not
up
like
and
that
down
premiere.
the whole time. However, they did reel us really hardcore in at the very end with all those moments there. Yeah, Maggie's mom. Okay, right. Look, I am so overwhelmed by that ending. So let's dive into our first topic about Delilah handling her motherly pressures, and also later on we'll walk you through our hashtag little things ABTV, a takeaway, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of takeaways in this episode, but we always just want to reel you out with one each. So Delilah, pressures of a mom, right? I mean, she's still struggling with her new daughter, and now she's feeling like she's failing John. Do you think she's right to have to feel this way?
I don't think she's failing John in any way because, as we know, that's not their kid. So I was a little shocked by that coming up. I understand what she was trying to say, but I don't think she's failing him. It was interesting, though, that he didn't come up when the medium came or the psychic, whatever it was. When he came around, it wasn't John that came. It ended up being Maggie's brother. But that was interesting. I thought that she said, it seems like John doesn't want to see me. And honestly, that would make sense. Is that bad that I'm saying that?
I mean, it's like I feel like she's going through post-pregnancy traumatic disorder, especially given
depression.
Postpartum depression, that's it. Especially given circumstances with the situation of Eddie, and he's definitely not there. He's definitely trying to make things work with Katherine. So I'm actually kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. But that's separate. So
yeah, it was interesting because this episode, it was almost like there weren't many friendships being shown in any way. The only one that they were kind of working on was the relationship between Eddie and Katherine, but given what they've been through, it doesn't mean too much yet. We're still waiting to see.
We're still waiting to see how that goes. And we're still waiting to see how that goes with Delilah, the baby, and then Andrew. Totally forgot about Andrew. Hey, he came back into this episode and we were like, oh, wait, what? Yeah, he was a part of this all. Like, I don't know how I feel about him. I do enjoy the fact that he's there for her, especially in this time of need, because there is no man standing there for her, even though I believe she can fully do this on her own. But Or maybe not. I mean, given everything that's happened, so
But
everybody's
also,
there for her.
She has these 2 older kids who would be able to help her out, but they weren't there at all.
I really think Danny could, though.
I feel like Danny could, at that age, you could for sure help out here and there. He could be taught how to change a diaper and that sort of thing, like the little things,
That's
you know.
true.
Not that that's little, but that's tough.
Yes, I think that's a very tough job.
Right.
I've never actually tried it.
I know. I'm like, is that bad that I've never done that either? Maybe I've said
Terrified.
and watched.
Yes. But it's, it's interesting. Yeah, like you mentioned with the psychic, I feel like ultimately John wasn't the one that came into the picture because Maggie needed more sense of a connection for whatever reason in that time and space. I feel like in Delilah's case, it's more
I see what you're saying.
John blocking right now, seeing. Probably he's like, again, he's that virtuous guy from above, seeing from above, like, nope, right now Maggie needs more
like he
support
needs
right
space.
now.
Oh, I see
And
what you're saying.
He's just like,
He's a good friend.
You're fine. Like, Delilah, you're fine. And I actually enjoyed the fact that Andrew reminded her of the fact that if it's forgiveness that you're looking for, you're not going to get it. You're just going to have to find it within yourself to forgive yourself. I thought that was very strong.
Yeah, I liked that piece of advice as well. I think that was good timing for him to come in and say that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about people having to turn to psychics in those moments? Because it's one of those things where probably if she wasn't in that situation, and I was thinking at some stage, why things are obviously different between this maternity versus the previous one is she was in a happy marriage,
right?
And they were together as a family, whereas this is all very much broken, split in so many different ways. And, people wanting to seek for this kind of verification that things are going to be okay. What are your thoughts about that?
It is weird that there's not as many people. You know what I noticed last episode? It's like everyone was there to support her. They were all there to help her out with the baby, and Eddie was there. But then this episode, it's like that dwindled very quickly. No one was there to help her out. They weren't there at her house to take care of the baby or anything. The only one that was there was Andrew. So that caught me off guard a little bit. Like I mentioned, it was just like this episode seemed to really not show great friendships as much as it has in the past. So I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Weird.
Last week we were able to literally pick out so many different top friendship moments.
Yeah.
And in this one, like virtually
There were none.
And maybe you're touching on a point there where our therapy, we seek it through whether it's speaking to our family members or to our friends or, to a therapist. But it's like, if you don't have that consistent support structure that is there, because, not everybody can always be there for you because everybody has things going on in their lives. It's almost a matter of like, okay, do I need to seek for like external verification or support there? And I almost feel like that's what happened.
Yeah.
But the fact that she didn't receive it is already a sign in itself, I feel.
Right.
And that's where Andrew came in and was able to provide her with actually a really good message, I thought.
Yeah, and I think tons of people do that. They'll be listening to the radio and they'll hear a song and they're like, this reminds me of that person. Oh my gosh, it's them. They're trying to send me a sign, and it might not always be that person depending on what you believe. I don't know if it is always a sign from them, but I think it is. There's something that kind of calms you down a little bit and like reassures you when you hear that song or when you go to a psychic and they give you like, you're somehow able to relate to it in a way. It almost relates to, we were talking about horoscopes before a minute ago, and people are all over the place when it comes to believing in horoscopes, but most of the time if you sit there and you're like, oh, I'm a Virgo, but I don't fully believe in this, but let me read today's horoscope. You read it and you're like, typically everyone can relate to that horoscope in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean?
There's been moments where I've been like, nah, I don't know
Not
what
today.
this horoscope. Yeah, not today. Maybe tomorrow.
Right. But I think it's the same way with these people when they lose someone that means so much to them. They're like, okay, well, he didn't reach out to me today, but maybe tomorrow. And then they hear that song tomorrow and they're like, oh, yeah, he came back. See,
but then I also feel like, those things happen in the right moment. So that song came to her in the right moment, just as she was starting to release forgive herself and already putting out that message to her daughter, I'm so sorry for all the mistakes I've done and I'm going to make more mistakes. And then it's like, it's that sudden light bulb. And I felt like that was the first time. Granted, it's just the second episode and she's just had a baby, but it is the first time that we truly see her taking a moment to connect with Charlotte.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first time. And that will be good to watch for as well, to see when Eddie connects with Charlotte as well as when they connect as a family.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because we haven't seen him with the baby really yet, aside from the whole delivery. But yeah, we didn't see them together at all in this episode.
I mean,
what is going on in this episode?
Barely in the last one either, but for the reason. So let's save that for predictions. I almost feel like, we'll save that. See what happens there.
Guys, don't forget to tune in to the live chat so we can chat with you guys back and forth and give you some shout outs. We
love to hear from you. And in fact, actually, before we jump into our next topic, breaking down some more motherly pressures and psychic readings with Maggie. Jess, you have a little message for our AfterBuzzers, don't you?
Speaking of which, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into our shows on YouTube, on iTunes, everywhere where you can listen to a podcast. Thank you so much for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. Wherever you guys are watching, make sure to give it a thumbs up, rate us some 5 stars, subscribe to us, and like I mentioned, give us some of your thoughts on the live chat as well as some comments down below so that we can read those and then come back next week with some more thoughts for you guys.
We love to chat with you and hear from you, see what your perspective is. You probably have better insight than we have. Like, this is just our 2 cents, so we want to know what you think.
It makes it so much more fun.
Yes.
It's just like a little Reddit chat in person.
You're all about the Reddit. I love that. Okay, well, Maggie here, I was astonished to hear about the fact that her mom had left her dad after 32 years.
That's a long time.
32 years.
Maggie's entire life, that's all she's ever known. So to hear something like that, I mean, luckily Maggie is a little older now to where she's not living at home, so she's not sitting there hearing the two of them maybe arguing every day and day in and day out. But either way, that's a big deal to happen in any family. So that's the fact that, she's recovering from cancer at this point, from all of her chemo treatment, and now she hears this. It's like, poor Maggie, she can't catch a break.
Right? Yes. And then the ultimate cross, like, boom. I mean, I just wonder, because obviously I've not lived that time to be married that amount of time and then because it was fascinating for me to hear her mom say, well, you had your life to live ahead, and it doesn't mean that I want to spend the rest of my life with your dad.
Right.
At that stage. Okay, so now thinking back to the ending of Eric in the picture, do you think that he has something to do with that choice?
Okay. No, I really don't. I think the producers are doing an amazing job of making it look like that, but there's no way. He's too young. And not that
happens all the time.
Right. It totally does. I'm not going to sit here and be like,
it's a million little things full of drama.
But no, you're completely right. Not that this can't happen, but here's what I think. I think that, okay, call me crazy. Who knows?
Crazy.
This is just a wild guess, okay, guys? So tune in, let us know what you guys think. But basically, here's what I'm saying. Maggie's mom is not a huge fan of Gary. So do you think she could potentially be trying to set her daughter up?
Ooh, okay. So one thing that I felt instantly about Eric is that he's similar to Gary.
He is.
We don't know anything about his background or who he is, what he does, nothing.
Right.
And did we even actually find out about his name? I don't think so. It was in the prelude for the next episode, right? So he's like a nameless person at this point that just happens to hug Maggie's mom, and we just don't know what the relationship is between them. But if you think so, I mean, maybe
I'm going to stick with that bold I mean, last week we were predicting that PJ was going to be John's son, and now here we are. We might be right based on today's episode. So now we're just going to be making just random bold predictions in every episode.
Throwing them wild cards everywhere.
Yeah. Maybe the producers will tune in and then they'll change everything. they're going to change the plot of this entire season because of what we said.
Perhaps, who knows? Hey,
We're working on it.
We're working on it. Get the word out there.
Yeah.
This is our way of the story right now.
Exactly.
But I mean, I genuinely, I am curious because I think, why would she come though? Because if she was truly hiding something, I don't think she would even come.
Maggie's mom?
Yes.
Oh.
She could have actually stayed with this guy then, I guess, if they were,
Right.
if there was something
Right.
there. So maybe you're right.
She
Maybe there
totally
is something
could've.
there.
But she also met him at the place that Maggie had told her to go. So I don't think she would have like really had time to plan a date when Maggie had just told her where to go. Or was it Gary? Gary had just told her where to go.
I don't think she was.
I don't know.
Oh, you mean Maggie's mom was planning
Yeah.
a date? If that was a date? Oh yeah, of course it can happen
You
fast.
think she's on Tinder?
I mean,
She might be.
You know,
She's a little
maybe
frisky.
it was like a swipe. Hey, let's get into the spa right now.
Let's just do this thing, man.
You know who knows nowadays? That could be
Honestly.
another great prediction or opinion there.
Yeah.
You never know.
We're making
Okay.
some bold predictions here, guys. A mess.
All right. So, what are we thinking about the whole medium thing as well, though? The psychic and her brother coming back into the picture.
That was wild. I was trying to figure out where he was going with that. I think the entire audience that was watching it was definitely sitting there like, all right, you're wrong. Like, no, John didn't die in an accident, and it's not
And he's
her
not
brother.
a brother. She
Yeah.
wouldn't marry her brother.
Hello.
Like, what are you talking about?
And then Maggie, once we realized that was her brother, it did make sense. It's like he wants to talk to her so bad. But I don't really know what the point of that was. I wish we could have heard a little bit more of the conversation because they kind of just left us there dry. We were like, okay, well, what did he tell her? Like, what's he trying to get across to her, you know?
Yeah, I almost just want to say, thinking about it now, it's like kind of a way to distract us as an audience from what is truly going on, just to have that little medium in there, like just sneak it in there so that it can somehow tie in with the connection of Maggie's mom being there and the reason why she's there, wanting to connect with Maggie, when in truth there might be something else much more profound, and that's where Eric comes into the picture. We have a bit of piece of news about that, a little tiny bit,
We do.
that DJ Nash tweeted yesterday. But yeah, I don't quite understand why that was slotted in there, but I do feel like it might have been a point of distraction because there's always so many different distractions in these shows every episode for us to be a little bit confused.
Well, we saw Gary talk with Maggie's mom about how Maggie went and spoke with the psychic, but we didn't see Maggie and her mom talk about Maggie's conversation with the psychic. So I'm wondering if maybe next week they'll kind of flash back to that for a minute and kind of show the discussion that she had, because she just seemed like she didn't want to talk to anyone about it. She didn't want to be bothered. So maybe they'll, like kind of give her a breather for a minute and flash back to it next week. And then they'll actually like be able to converse about his death, because it's like obviously a very sensitive subject whenever it does come up. Mm-hmm. So maybe they'll actually tell us a little bit more about that.
It's interesting. I mean, I was just trying to think as well, like he's the psychic that Regina hasn't seen in like 5 years, and yet he was able to touch upon that story, that element on Maggie's side. And we were just saying this outside of the studio. We were saying how, if you have more than one person with a psychic in there, they might pick up on other people's energies and read that whatever they're connected to. So, yeah, well, talking about then control issues and trying to foresee the future, let's touch into Regina's form there, because he had predicted that she would open up a restaurant, which happened, of course, as we see. But there's a bit of conflict still with Andrew here, right? The both of them are trying to take a little bit more control.
Regina's not happy about
She's
that.
not happy. Do you think she's in the right to not be happy and have somebody who has been in the restaurant industry for so many years and has had restaurants that have been very successful, maybe some as well not so successful that we don't really know
They
of.
haven't mentioned that.
They haven't mentioned it. And I can fully imagine he probably would have,
had tons fail, because that's how it works. You never just jump right into it and are like extremely successful.
Exactly.
It takes some time to get there. And so I think the way I see it is she's completely in the right to get mad at him because this is her baby. This is everything that she's always wanted. And so going back to the sidekick for a second, Gary was right. What are the odds? Like, or was it Gary or was it Rome who said, "Oh, shocker, he was able to predict that"? But you know what I mean? Like she's been working. Of course, it was Gary.
He's a skeptic. You know, he's the skeptic of the group.
Yeah. But of course, he was able to predict something like that. This is something that she has wanted to achieve for so long. And so she had this exact vision, knowing exactly what she wanted to do. It just was a matter of money. She got the money, and now she's still working
but that's
on...
thanks to Andrew.
That's true. That's true. That is thanks to Andrew. But I just feel like typically when there's an investor involved, they try and be hands-on, but it's not always like their place. Typically, the way I see it is they're kind of just supposed to trust in that person and then have, like, they should voice their opinion here and there, especially given his track record, but they should work together. I think she does need to take a step back slightly and allow him to kind of talk to her here and there, because it seems like anytime he opens his mouth, she's like, shut up. Like, she doesn't want to hear it, you know?
Yeah, she like shuts him down.
Yeah.
And then I almost feel like that's kind of pushing him to act in that sense of just compulsively doing things that without consulting her. So I mean, I feel like I'm with you on the fact that an investor should trust in that person to do the job properly. It's, you know, it's their dream, they know, you know, what the creation is and how that should evolve. But at the same time, I do feel like Regina, not having had the experience that he has had, should also be willing to learn and listen to him. Then that was another theme in this episode. It was about listening, and that's on Rome's side rather than talking, right?
Yes.
And this is is a side note, but we didn't really see them two together. I felt like in this episode they needed to breathe because it was very much like this and separate points of views because of the baby issue. And Rome, we don't know what he's doing, but anyways, handling phone calls and stuff.
Yeah. Maybe that was sort of the theme that they were trying to portray in this episode, is just that, like, everyone, you know, this is a show about friendships, and typically when you're friends with a group of people, you all kind of get lost in your own little world here and there. Like, you're not always together and not always involved in everyone's life.
Yeah.
So I think that might have been a pretty constant
They needed
theme.
to breathe a little bit in separate ways. So that's fully, you know, not every episode can be like, rah!
Yeah. I love you. Just obsessed with each other.
Yeah. Always. But I definitely think that them two need to open up a dialogue. They definitely do, in order to make this business work, because it looks like a great restaurant. I want to dine there.
It has such great potential.
Did you see the glasses, the mimosa glasses?
No, I didn't.
They were so slick and thin. I thought, wow, bottomless
like,
mimosas,
trendy.
and that is so trendy. So trendy. I'm like, I'm not surprised that brunch was like off the rocker.
We're going to have to fly to Boston and check it out.
We might have to get them here in the studio, please.
Oh, that would be fun, guys. We need to work on that next. If we can land them to join in on our show, we'll be
like a free giveaway. Oh, that would be so much fun.
Oh, that would be awesome. We'll
Cheers
just sip
to that.
on mimosas while we're in the studio.
Not tea, but mimosas.
Yeah.
That's the way we like it.
Right.
But okay, let's get into our next sort of control theme, which was Eddie and Katherine. I think I'm like taking a really deep breath in about this situation, because I cannot imagine how tough it is. I am so happy Katherine came back home.
Yeah,
so
that was a big
happy.
step.
I mean, poor Theo's.
Oh my gosh.
Theo is obviously blissfully unaware, beyond blissfully, but so cute.
Yeah, he's so precious. And him setting up the table in the beginning for 3.
Just in
Meanwhile,
case
it was
Mommy
only
comes
2.
back, and she's saving like a big case in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And my God, I cannot imagine what she was going through when they went to the school and the mothers were like chit-chatting, gossiping, and
Yeah. That's hard.
Would you have, in her position, gone through those lengths to actually show up, go to that school, even to have Eddie stay at home?
Right. You know, that is really hard. I think she is proving that she's trying her hardest to be a great mother and there for Theo more than anything. And so She definitely did the right thing. As far as if I would have been able to do that, that is a whole other battle. I don't know if I would have been able to. I would hope so, because like I said, she is just really being a great mother for Theo, and so I applaud her for that more than anything. But it would have been hard. You see how hard it was for her with her tears forming, you know?
And the flashbacks, the constant struggle of going back and present. I was questioning at one point when they were doing the whole camping scenario, if Eddie had been in her shoes, would he had been able to stick up for it? I almost want to say no.
Would he have been able to
do what Catherine's doing, going through the motions of what Catherine's going through? If it was the reverse, right? If she had had a baby with somebody else, I don't know why. And I probably shouldn't think this or say this, but I just feel like Katherine has a much stronger personality than Eddie does.
She does, for sure. I mean, he's so used to kind of just... He's been an entertainer for a while, and he kind of just sits at home, but he's at home taking care of Theo. Meanwhile, Katherine is out there getting all the physical labor, I guess we'll say, getting all of that taken care of. And I just feel like, you know, if you think about it, so Eddie and Delilah, they were gonna run away together.
I know, and that
what would they have done? They didn't have a stable job, really. Like, neither of them have a stable job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even curious now as to how Katherine and Eddie are surviving.
Right?
Neither of them are really working.
I'm sure Katherine saved up a good amount of dough.
And he probably has some royalties, or let's hope so, or some sorts, right? Yeah, because of that boy band or that younger band that he wrote for.
And
so
I think he's a music teacher now. So, I mean, he's got some
they're okay.
change coming in.
I thought there might have been a moment of hope. I really did at that
For Eddie
point.
and Katherine?
Yes, when
I don't see it.
I mean, I had that moment of when, who was it that said, planning for tomorrow to live for today.
Oh, yes.
That was Katherine, right?
To live for today. So that was Katherine who said that. And then Eddie makes her feel that way.
Eddie said, you taught me to believe in tomorrow, and I really wanted to tomorrow with you.
Yes, exactly.
And
that was precious, okay? But I don't see it happening.
I do kind of feel like they should have hugged at that point, though.
Like, touched fingers or something, at least. A little boop action. But nothing there.
Connect.
I feel like they're just trying so hard, but it's just not meant to be. It's at this point, with the amount of things that have happened in their relationship, like, it's not meant to be.
Okay, well, we need to know what you're thinking, because this is really just screwing with our minds right now.
Guys,
I cannot decide because, you know, on the one hand, they are a family in the end of the day, and Eddie wants to make things right again, but at the same time, he does have another family, and at some point, he is going to have to be with that family.
Right.
But also, they are all best friends, and Katherine needs
They're going
to see
each other a lot.
Yeah, so still a complicated cobweb right there.
Yeah, we would still like some affection, some friendship to be shown for Katherine as well, because she still hasn't really been shown anything
from
by anyone but her
anybody.
mom. Just her mom.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly. Well, talking a little bit about affection before we get into our news and special segment and predictions, PJ and Rome, their connection there, and the fact that PJ is like going over there and kind of outing himself a little bit there. Mm-hmm.
It was funny because last week I mentioned how we didn't know why he was at the hospital, and now he says, well, it's because he wanted to figure out who they were. He wanted to find this group of friends, but he still didn't really specify how he knew who they were beforehand, because he watched that video of John after the hospital trip. So where did that come from, you know? That doesn't add up.
Big question mark.
Yeah, we need to figure that out.
It still doesn't add up. We got to figure that out.
I'm very intrigued by that storyline, and I don't even know why. I'm just like, it's such a mini part right now. Like, they're throwing it in at the very end.
Right, yeah, because it was such a huge part towards the end of the first season. Now it seems like it's being brushed a little bit underneath the carpet, but the dust keeps on creeping out a little bit. You know what I mean? And it's like they slid that Rutledge trust in there again so randomly, and Barbara's just like, I don't want that. Well, no, the husband is like, I don't want this, or boyfriend. We don't even know what their proper relationship is now. I'm still questioning that entire family.
Do you think that PJ and Rome are going to continue to have a friendship? Because the second he mentioned, well, Gary, even though he mentioned John, Rome jumped right away.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if I was Rome, I'd be massively freaked out about a kid knowing everything about me and my friends. Like, but I do think, Rome is a mature man, wants to have babies. And it's not about him wanting to have babies, but I definitely think that he will, try and understand this kid, because he's become close to him. The kid has opened up massively about his father relationship issues, and he really enjoyed Rome's script as well. And I feel
the depression and all of that.
Maybe out of this, whatever Rome's job is right now, out of this, a story is going to come out of it, and he's going to make a movie or something.
Yeah, I could see that, definitely. And the fact that you mentioned they were relating in every way, shape, and form. Their fathers, the way that they have felt with their depression, like now having this John as like the middle ground. I don't know. I'm wondering if Rome is almost going to like take him under his wing, especially since PJ isn't getting along with his dad, and he's going to be seeking a father figure since he's not getting along with him. And Rome, on the other hand, wants a kid. So what if he's like, okay, well, this is kind of another opportunity.
And this is kind of a taster for him then as well, as to how like conflicts can happen between a younger kid and a father figure. Let's see. Well, let's jump into some news, since there was some really interesting things. Gary was very skeptical. So what has Gary been up to in reality?
Yes,
take it away, Jess.
So it's funny because Gary was he wasn't falling for this whole psychic action that happened in this episode. He was making fun of it just about the entire time. But what's funny about it is that in USA's Psych TV series, which was turned into a movie in 2017, and they're now coming out with another movie. It's a sequel in 2020. He was Sean Spencer. So basically, he played the role of a fake psychic.
There you go. Would he be another fake psychic in the second one? Do you think he'll make an appearance?
Yeah, he's saying he's playing the same person. He's staying with Sean.
Look at you, skeptic, and then you're a fake psychic yourself.
Yeah, I think, and it seems like they continue to throw little jabs into these episodes. They did another one last week that I can't remember right now, but it's like based on these players or these people's really real lives.
Yeah, like them as actors, the choices they've made, or kind of roles, and then like snipping it into the episode. I don't know if it's by chance or if they are so brilliant that they've researched each and every one of them and like really twisting their real lives into this episode.
They seem to be really good writers.
Ways.
They're amazing writers, and the fact that they connected this, maybe James Roday just came up with this idea himself.
Yeah,
he would do something like that.
Make me hate the psychic in here, okay? All right, so then a little tidbit that I previously had said was about Jason Ritter's debut. DJ Nash tweeted yesterday, "It's a character that comes up based on stuff from the first season. Throughout the first half of the season, we follow the question, who is this person? And then once it's known who they are, their potential to shake up the world comes up." I love it. It's brewing. Starting really simmering very tinily right now.
Right.
All right, let's get into our special segment of hashtag Little Things ABTV.
Love it.
Where we each have a little
here's the good music
moment.
So good at this, Jonathan.
Jonathan, our producer, yes, he knows.
Shout out, Jonathan.
Yes, with them tunes.
So, the little thing that I'm going to take away from this episode. Actually, I have two.
Ooh,
little
me
things.
Too. That's perfect.
Oh my God, I wonder if they're the same thing.
We're so in sync.
Wow. So, I'm going to start off with the first one. When they were talking about the Grand Canyon a lot, they were saying how it slowly eroded over millions of years and created this beautiful masterpiece. And they kept relating this to Katherine and Eddie's relationship. And we don't know exactly what that beautiful masterpiece is going to end up being, but I'm excited to find out what it might be, whether it be Eddie moving on and having a relationship with Delilah or even someone else, or Katherine moving on and having a better relationship with someone else as well, because I don't see it sticking with the two of them, or that little family right there. And then my other little takeaway from this episode is that I noticed that they were kind of alluding to the future all throughout this episode. they were talking about living for today and then wanting to share their future together and all of that. And it just seems like...
Who's that?
That was Katherine and Eddie.
Oh, yes, Eddie. Yeah, that moment.
So there were a few other moments that I didn't write down, so I'm blanking on them right now. But it just seems like this episode was getting ready for something in the future.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's simmering. It's definitely
that whole
simmering.
Eric action. What's going on with him?
Exactly.
What about you? What are your
Okay.
takeaways?
Well, I like yours. And I like the erosion part, so I'm going to get into that for my prediction. But, so, already mentioned it, you can't seek for forgiveness. Ultimately, you need to forgive yourself to move forward. The other one is appreciate what you have instead of focusing on what you lost.
Oh, I like that. My heart.
Be free, let go. That's what it's all about.
Wow, over here getting a little lesson, a little life lesson.
We get so many life lessons in these episodes.
Right.
Whew. Okay, let's get quickly into our predictions before we must go.
Oh, here we go. It's game time.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like we've already kind of talked about a bunch of our predictions at this point. But
We'll just kind of sprinkle them in there.
yeah, so there were some great conversations one solid great conversation between Maggie's mom and Gary where they were kind of bonding. And so I was expecting that to be like good for their relationship. But after that last scene where Maggie's mom went up to Eric in the bar, I have no idea what's going to happen there. I said that maybe it could be Maggie's mom wanting to set Maggie up, but I am like at a loss for words when it comes to this because it could go in so many different directions.
I mean,
What do you
given
think?
as well DJ Nash's tweet on that, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, how is he going to shake up people's worlds? I don't know. I need to see another episode in order to make my mind up about this person because he was like 2 minutes, 1 minute in there.
I know, so
Nothing.
quick.
We don't know
I
anything.
even wrote Maggie's mom moving to Boston can be good for the relationship. Well,
Nah.
not anymore.
Not at this
Not
point.
after
Not
seeing
yet.
that
It will
scene.
take a lot of time for
Yeah.
that to happen. Maybe that's something as well. I almost want to say the erosion part of it, getting into something beautiful. Right now, it's erupting,
Right.
And for me, in that sense of like Katherine and Eddie's relationship, for some reason, I think things are gonna work out.
Yeah.
Because from massive like fights or destructions,
Right.
pieces
You
can be
think they're
put
gonna-
together.
Yeah,
And I
I see
don't,
what you're
and that's
saying.
maybe my wishful thinking as well. But that's just my sentiment. And that's the only prediction I can give you for today.
Right. And I also see the way Delilah and Andrew were connecting, talking about losing their significant other. I feel like that's kind of alluding to something that could potentially... It was like there was a little spark there, so I don't know.
It's lingering. And it's been lingering for a while. And now we
Yeah.
are being reminded of it.
Right.
So let's
and
see
he's
what
going to be
happens.
around for a while, so...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's not going anywhere with this restaurant
Nope.
business.
Right.
And I do think him and Regina are going to I cannot
halfway.
talk today.
Make amends.
Make amends.
There we go.
Yes.
I'll get it. Come on.
Yes. Thank you, partner.
I'm a
All right.
sidekick.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You can
Whoa.
read minds. Well, where can everybody find you on social media before we go?
Before we go, you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Jess Lucero Live. Make sure to keep up with us. Keep up with us on Reddit as
do
well.
tweet us. Yes. Reddit.
Yep, I'm on there now too, guys. Keeping up with you all.
Everywhere. Hashtag a million little things and hashtag little things ABTV for your little takeaway. You can find me at Yasmine Tanres, and you can see us both next week again at
we'll be back.
7 p.m. PST.
7:10 p.m. Pacific
There you
Standard Time.
go. Well, thank you for joining
you guys
us.
next week.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.